What is up? Welcome back to SCE Vlogs. It's Cameron, and today I think we have a pretty exciting podcast. But before we get started, if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe and leave anything in the comments that you guys would like to see for future videos. So, let's get started now. I got a lot of DMs saying maybe talk about something that a lot more people will talk about. Maybe that'll bring up the subscriber numbers. We're at 30 right now. Let's try getting to 100. I mean, we have 30 subscribers in, I think, 2 weeks. I think a week and a half, maybe. And it's been already a good journey. I've already had some big videos. And hopefully trying to make it grow a little more. So today's video is going to be a sports podcast. I want to go over sports, what I think is going to happen in the league. It's going to be NFL, NBA, and MLB. It's really the only sports that I follow. I'm not a fan of NHL or WNBA or tennis or whatever professional sports you guys like. That's not to offend anybody, but that's just my opinion. But you guys may think different. And so, yeah, let's get started with the podcast. Okay, so the first sport that I'm going to talk about is MLB. Their playoffs is already almost done. World Series is in hand. Astros, Phillies. So I'm going to talk about how I think the end of this season is going to go, and then how I think next year is going to go. But to get started on that, I am a huge Cubs fan. I've been a Cubs fan since 2014. It was a year before, no, it was 2015, because it was the year before they won the World Series. And ever since I've just started following them, they have had it really rough lately. They traded other players a couple years ago. Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, Chris Bryant, all those good players, Kyle Schwarber. And I feel like that is a big reason to why we're not as good. I feel like we can become good within the next few years, but our coach is trying to make a team out of rookies, and I feel like if we train them enough, maybe we can come back to a World Series potential team. But as of right now, I do not believe so. I do believe the Cubs are probably out of it for the next 5 or 10 years. I don't think we'll win a World Series under David Ross, which is our head coach. I don't see anything coming out of him. The way he thinks, I'm not saying it's a bad way. Just I feel like he can definitely think of things a little differently. And I think it was just dumb to trade all of our all-stars out of one time. I feel like we could have traded one here, one there, and then another one here, instead of trading all 4 of them at once. I feel like that was a dumb move, and I feel like that really screwed us Cubs over. And I feel like until we can get some all-stars on our hand, I don't feel like we'll be winning World Series anytime soon. I definitely know that we're looking at some big people since our season ended like 2 months ago. And I've been following the post or the after season stuff that the Cubs do. And we're looking at the shortstop for the Dodgers, Trey Turner. We're looking at Aaron Judge. He is a guy who is leaving the Yankees after this year. The Red Sox is another team that Aaron Judge is looking to go to. And I feel like there's just so many things that could happen with him, knowing that he is one of the biggest names in modern-day baseball right now. Heck of a season, 60-plus home runs. That is insane for a player at this level. And to be honest, he's not even that old yet. So God knows what he could still do. And I'm expecting still a lot out of him. Okay, so now to get off topic of just the Cubs, let's talk about MLB, the MLB playoffs. I almost said NFL for some reason. Let's get to the MLB playoffs, the end. Astros, Phillies. I had the Astros winning. I had the Phillies winning at first. I mean, they had been playing a heck of a game. Nicholas Castellanos, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. That is insane right now. And, I mean, it's really those 3 players. Meanwhile, you have the Astros, Alex Bregman, and Jeremy Pena. Surprised Justin Verlander still able to play after his suspension of flipping off another player. Surprised they're still allowing him to play, but that, my opinion, don't really say much. But yeah, I have the Astros winning the next game, which will win the World Series run. Then that is when we go into the 2023-2024 season, or the 2023 season, and that is when I say that I have the Astros dropping a little bit. There are a couple players who are having contracts come to an end that I don't think will go back to the Astros. The Phillies, all their big names still have contracts ahead of them. So that's big stuff right there. And I'm really excited to see what happens there with Nicholas Castellanos, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and all those big names. Aaron Nola, he's having a contract come to an end. He's one of their bigger pitchers, and I'm just really excited to see what happens. Next year, though, there are a couple teams that are going to be making huge impacts in the league. Teams that you would have never really saw coming. Teams that have went from being good to being bad to being good again. I feel like the Braves, they've always been a good team, but with Ronald Acuna Jr., his contract being extended would be a huge help, because his contract does end actually, and now that they're out of the World Series potentials, they've already had other teams come to contracts with him. He has declined all of them. I believe he's had 3. I believe he's had a contract with the Brewers. He's had a contract with the Padres. And I think he's had a contract with the White Sox. And he's declined every single one, which isn't really a big surprise because all of them are less than the contract he has now. So I don't know what's going to happen. Just hopefully he can sign, because I really would like to see him play in the 2023 season. I don't want to see him sit in the off season or in the free agents. And so yeah, another team I think is going to really, really jump out this next year is the Mariners. They were good this year. I'm surprised they didn't go and beat the Astros in the playoffs. They were good this year, I ain't gonna lie. But I do think they're going to get a lot better players now coming in this season, because they really don't have a whole lot of people that's taking up max salary. They have Eugenio Suarez and Jesse Winker and I think J.B. Crawford. That is the biggest names that they have, and Mitch Haniger. So I do think they could easily sign other players, and they can make that team really, really deadly at the MLB level. So I'm definitely waiting for that. They're coming to contracts with some rookies right now, and I'm just excited to see where that team goes. Another team I have a huge hoping for is the Angels. The Angels, I feel like if they can keep Mike Trout healthy and if they can keep Shohei Ohtani healthy, I feel like that can be really big. And I think if they sign a couple more rookies, that team could also be really good. Or not even just rookies. If they can sign some more players who they can get the bigger guys a little more rest, and then when they're rested, they can come back in. So Mike Trout, I believe, played without injury. I believe he missed one game that he was not injured in. That's a lot of games, knowing that he wasn't really injured for that long. He played a definitely longer season than we've seen him play in the last few years. Most of the years it's been an ankle injury or a wrist injury. And I feel like that's just keeping him from being the superstar that he is. Because Mike Trout, in my opinion, is the best center fielder there is in the MLB as of right now. I've seen him make some plays that I don't think any other guy can make. And that is just insane. So, yeah. So, that's American League. Those are the American League teams that I think. National League teams that I think is really going to jump out this year. Definitely not the Marlins. The Marlins are trading a lot of players. They're trading Jesus Aguilar. That is going to be a huge thing. I don't think D. Gordon's coming back. That is going to be a huge thing. And, yeah, so Marlins, they ain't going anywhere. The Reds, they probably ain't going anywhere. I mean, they don't look like they're even looking for anybody to sign. I mean, they have Joey Votto, and that's really all they have at that level. And then they have Jonathan India. He ain't a bad player, but I feel like two players can't lead a team. When Joey Votto, yeah, he's a superstar, and he's an all-star, but I don't feel like he's as good as every other first baseman. And, I mean, Jonathan India is still almost a rookie. So I don't really see a whole lot there for them, which is quite impressive because the Reds have did a lot in recent years with players like that. But that is also when they had Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez, and they had Nicholas Castellanos. So there are other players that Reds team had when they went to the playoffs, and I'm just kind of, I want to say confused and pleased at the same time, because my team, the Chicago Cubs, are in that division, and the Cardinals are pretty good. The Brewers are pretty good. The Cubs are mid. The Brewers, or no, I already said the Brewers. The Reds, I mean, they're pretty trash. Pirates, they're pretty trash. I feel like that division is really only between the Brewers and Cardinals as of right now. But I feel like that can change with a couple of trades. And so, yeah. Another team that I have pretty high expectings for is I'm actually expecting a lot out of the Giants. The Giants are going for some big names this offseason, I see. They're another team that's trying to get Aaron Judge. I feel like that'll be a huge thing for them, knowing that they're losing a lot of players and they have quite a few rookies. So I won't be surprised to see Aaron Judge go to a losing team in the past, but I don't want to jump to conclusions and say that's where he's going to go, because it's Aaron Judge and you never know what he's going to do. For all we know, he might sign with the Yankees, which is really low chances, but, you know, anything can happen in the game of baseball, as we've seen with David Ross trading 5 Cubs players at one time. So that is the MLB stuff that I have for you guys. And yeah, so that is just one of 3 things that I'll be talking about today. So anyway, let's jump to NFL. Okay, guys, so the last topic was about MLB, and this topic is about NFL. We went on the MLB, who I thought was going to win, and how I think next seasons are going to be. That's exactly what I want to do here. Anyway, let's get started. Oh, but before I get started, you guys can torture me in the comments, do whatever you guys need or want to do. But I need to let this out. I am a New York Giants fan. The story behind that is, I think it was second grade. All my friends told me that they had favorite NFL teams and they watched NFL. And I'm like, let me start watching NFL. So I literally just picked a random team, and it is the New York Giants. Now, I have a friend whose name is Jacob. He is a Cowboys fan. I swear, every time the Giants and Cowboys play, it don't matter how the season goes. If the Giants are good, the Cowboys beat them. If the Cowboys are good, the Giants beat them. That's literally how it's always been. And yeah, I was not impressed with the first one that the Cowboys had over the Giants. I was really mad. I feel like there were definitely errors that if we clinched up in that game, it could have easily went the other way. I mean, the interception at the end, losing Sterling Shepard, that is crazy. I feel like that could have been a game that if we won, I feel like we'd be up there. And so that's the story the story of how I became a New York Giants fan. And let me get something straight, okay? As of right now, the best team in the NFL, stats-wise, is the Philadelphia Eagles. in my eyes, I do not think that they are a good team. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I mean, they're 8-0. They're decent. But I feel like a good team, a Super Bowl contending team, could be consistent. I believe they lost to they did not lose. I believe they beat the Cardinals by 3 points. The Cardinals are one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. They almost lost to the Texans last night. That is something that should not happen. So I don't see the Eagles as a good team, like a top-tier Super Bowl contending team. I don't see them as a bad team. I see them as, they're definitely above average. I see them as a team who would probably clinch the playoffs or clinch the wild card. But I feel like when it comes to that playoff time, I do not see the Eagles going any further than probably the conference championship. Just because there are quite a few younger people on that team. I mean, they have Dallas Goedert, they have A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. That is their 3 main players. And that's their whole team. And I believe all of those people are under 30. Dallas Goedert might be 30, 31. So I guess I might be wrong on that. A.J. Brown, he's young. Jalen Hurts, he's young. I don't necessarily know how I feel about the Eagles' offense when it comes to, like, experience. So, that just minimizes my reasons why they'll go to the Super Bowl. And their defense definitely isn't bad. I've seen them play some stellar, amazing defensive games. And then I have seen them like the Texans game. I saw them play like trash probably till like the 4th quarter. I mean, they kind of showed up there in the 3rd quarter, as the Eagles have this year shown that they are a 3rd and 4th quarter team, which is a second half team. And I was definitely impressed the second half. I feel like if the defense played like that the second half, it would have been maybe a little better of a game. But, I mean, that game was almost like the Broncos-Colts game. It, wasn't amusing. It wasn't really amusing when it came to stuff. I mean, Davis Mills, he is not the most impressive guy there is. And I feel like if the Texans are going to go anywhere this year, they definitely probably got to get a new quarterback. The running back had a pretty good game, 130 rushing yards, I believe. So that wasn't bad. But I do believe it all needs to start with getting a new quarterback. Davis Mills, he's like a rookie year Lamar Jackson. He looks, if there's green, he runs. And that is what I think loses you games, because he's always trying to scramble, which brings your defense in. It's a lot of times you're going to lose yardage. And I don't believe that is just the way of winning games. And if we're going to jump to teams that I do think now is Super Bowl ready, I hate saying this knowing that I'm a Giants fan. I do think the Cowboys are probably Super Bowl potential teams. The Cowboys have already proven themselves. They had a heck of a second half against the Bears. I'm just going to say that now. Insanely good second half against the Bears. I thought the Bears were going to do something the first half. Like, for what the Bears did the first half, I was honestly expecting them to have a little closer game than a 49-29 game. But, it's truly whatever. And I'm just expecting a little more out of the Cowboys. Because, they're winning games, but they ain't doing a good job in the first half. Go look back at the Lions game. The Lions, that is a game that should not have even been like that. The Lions and Cowboys, first half was tight. If the Lions kept it up the whole game, and if Matthew Stafford or if Jared Goff did what he did in the first half and the second half, I can guarantee you the Lions would probably have picked up a win, if not a closer loss. But I still do have the Cowboys at the Super Bowl tier level. Another team, they are surprising me like a lot. The Buffalo Bills. If you are looking for a quarterback who can scramble, can throw, can make good decisions, is a good person on the field and off the field. I mean, that's 5 things I just named right there. If you're looking for a quarterback with all those traits, Josh Allen is your person. I am impressed with everything Josh Allen's done. I did not expect Josh Allen to be this good from how he played in college at Wyoming. I was definitely expecting Josh Allen to be someone like these rookie quarterbacks like Trey Lance or who's another rookie quarterback? All these other rookie quarterbacks. I'm trying to think of all the rookie quarterbacks that we have in this game. Zach Wilson, he's another one. Justin Fields. I mean, Justin Fields, he's probably one of the best of the rookie quarterbacks that we have. And so I felt like he was going to be another one of those guys. I didn't expect him to come into the NFL and throw everybody off guard and throw 5 touchdowns on average in a game, average 300 yards a game, average 80 to 100 yards rushing a game. I mean, that is insane. I mean, he's not the fastest quarterback, but he only scrambles if he has room for days. If he looks up and sees that there is nobody there and no one's open, he'll run. And that's what I feel like makes a good quarterback. I feel like a good quarterback has to sit back, examine what's happening, and you have to, that's another thing, making your decision. Looking up, if you're not open, then you scramble. Not looking up, and I don't think I can make that throw, so I'm just going to scramble. If you're a quarterback, you got to be able to make that decision, hit the receiver, and, get moving down the field. Now, he is not the only person on that team, which makes it 10 times better. Averaging 300 to 400 yards a game, which is really good. Like, insanely good. Not only that, they have Stephon Diggs and Dalvin Singletary. That, now, is insane. Stephon Diggs, probably one of the best wide receivers in the game. Dalvin Singletary being one of the better running backs in the game. Not really a good game last week. I'm just a little disappointed in him. But I feel like he can definitely show up different weeks. It's just depending on if Josh Allen has a good game, chances are he's going to get a lot of good runs. If Josh Allen's having a bad game, throwing interceptions, just not hitting his targets, I feel like he has a bad game. I feel like his vibes, the way that Singletary does, reflects off of how Diggs does and how Allen does. So, yeah, that is pretty much the reason why I think the Bills are Super Bowl contending. Another team who I feel could probably be up there, I don't know though, the Chiefs. I mean, losing Tyreek Hill, that is the one thing that I think kind of screwed them over. I don't necessarily know though. They're still a pretty good team. I mean, they have Juju Smith-Schuster now, who is a recoverance for him. They have Travis Kelce. That is another thing that's really big on them. And then Patrick Mahomes, who is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I don't feel like he's as good decision-making as Josh Allen is, but I feel like when he gets onto that field, I feel like his head is always locked in. I've seen so many good highlights of Patrick Mahomes. He's not my favorite quarterback, that's for sure, but that's just one thing that I think that makes the Chiefs Super Bowl contenders. And another thing that I think makes them Super Bowl contenders is that, I mean, any team can compete with any team. I mean, the season's still really young. You don't know what's going to happen. But another reason I think they're going to win or Super Bowl potential is the fact that they played a heck of a game against probably one of the best teams in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills. I am impressed with the way they played. I was expecting the Buffalo Bills to probably go beat them by more, even though the Chiefs are a decent team who, like I said, I feel Super Bowl contending. And yeah, so I'm pretty impressed with how the Chiefs are doing without Tyreek Hill. So yeah, another team who I think is Super Bowl contending. Let's go back onto Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, the Eagles, and the New York Giants, all NFC East teams who can all go to the Super Bowl, I feel. I said the Eagles at the beginning that I don't think they're ready for a Super Bowl. I don't know, though, so we should see. But to get back onto the Dallas Cowboys, I feel like they're going to need Tony Pollard back. Ezekiel Elliott, yeah, he is a insane rusher. He has played some insane games covering up for Tony Pollard. I think that Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard on the same team. Oh, and then you have CeeDee Lamb. I believe he is the best receiver that Dallas has probably had in a long time. I am truly impressed with how good CeeDee Lamb is coming from Oklahoma. And, I mean, Oklahoma's a good college. Well, they were until, they were upset by a couple teams. But, yeah, I am definitely impressed with the way the Cowboys are doing. And if I were to say, Cowboys fans, it's annoying to hear, but saying that this is your year might be the case this time. We don't know, though. There are so many good teams in this league, and just, there's a lot to come. And we just, like I said, we should see how everything's going to work out, how everything's going to go, and, we'll work from there. New York Giants, my favorite team. This year has definitely been the best year that they have had. I say this year is probably better than the 2016 year. New coach, Mr. DeBull, or Dable, or however you say his last name. That coming into the season, having no experience with any players on that team, being able to have a really good start until losing to the Dallas Cowboys, and then losing to the Seahawks. I don't know what that was about. Losing to the Seahawks, man, that put my mind, in swivels. I mean, we had beat, some of the best teams in the NFL already. Like, the Packers. I mean, they're not good, but the Packers. Beating the Packers is one really big thing. Packers are 7-0 in the last 10 years against us, or whatever years that we played. But they're 7-0 against a certain time range. It might be any 2000s game. And going in and beating them definitely is a huge success. I'm definitely not impressed with the fact that New York Giants have yet to get a win that is not one score plus, so that is kind of scaring me. I feel like that's it's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. The fans say that this is their year and we're going to get to the playoffs, and I feel like it's just going to smack them in the head, and I feel like that's where it's all going to go downhill. Let's just hope not, though. Hopefully we can get something working. But if not, then, there's always the next year, and yeah. Okay, so now we have a couple teams that we're going to talk about who are already out of the playoff picture that have disappointed me. I'm going to start off with the first team being the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, wow. Coming off a Super Bowl loss, Bengals going from being one of the worst teams to the best teams and way down to the worst team. I am really disappointed with the way that Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are playing. Jamar Chase being injured, I mean, that's huge. And I feel like there's nothing to back him up. And that's just the bad part about it, is I was really wanting the Bengals to come into this year, really strong. but chances are I don't see them going any further. I have them probably being a middle 500 team. I mean, you can't go 500 in this league. So like 7-8, 8-7 maybe. I feel like they might be a wild card team, but I feel like if they miss the wild card, they're gonna miss big, and they'll probably go home. Y'all already know who the next team is. The Las Vegas Raiders. Wow. Man, with Devontae Adams going to the Raiders, you definitely, everybody was like, wow, they're going to the Super Bowl. And then they go and win a game. Yeah, no. That is the sad part. One win after getting Devontae Adams. Yeah, you ain't going anywhere for a while. Looking at new head coaches already, and I feel like a move's got to be made there if they're wanting to be good, because they have the players. I just feel like playbook. I mean, some of the plays they run, I don't necessarily think win games, and so that's just what I feel, and so yeah. And then the Los Angeles Rams, I don't want to say they suck. I don't, but I want to say they suck. Like, I'm in the middle. I mean, you play a good first half game, and then Christian McCaffrey absolutely kills you. Throws his first passing touchdown of his career, had an insane rushing game, and it's like, you go from being Super Bowl winners, being probably one of the best teams in the 2010s, 2020s era, and besides the Patriots, like I said, and you go and win a Super Bowl, go to the playoffs, and you absolutely cannot win a single game. This division is going to be all over the 49ers, I feel, and I don't necessarily know where that is going to go. But the Rams, they've got a couple things that they need to pick up. They definitely have the players, though. I mean, who's the running back that they have? Yeah, I can't think of who the running back is that they have. Not Darrell Henderson, not Cam Akers. They have another running back. I mean, he's a decent rusher, but he's definitely not fast. And then they have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and the Robinson guy or whatever. And I feel like there's so much talent there that needs to be put in once again. And it's the opposite of New York. I mean, you have a bad year, and then you go way up, and you're good. Yeah, it's the complete opposite in this situation. You are good, and you go away from being, like, insanely good to being insanely bad. And I don't know. I don't necessarily know what needs to be fixed on that team, but I definitely know that something needs to be fixed. Okay, so that is all I have for you guys for NFL. We have one more talk at NBA. And anyways, let's jump right to that. Okay, guys, so the last topic is NBA. It's kind of hard to make my predictions on an NBA season knowing that the season is still insanely young. And, I mean, they are not even a 10th through the season yet. They just reached a 10th through the season. And I feel like there is still so much a team could do. And I feel like there are teams that are really impressing me, and there are teams that are the complete opposite. And I'm a bandwagon. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. But if I told you and you had no backstory besides this year NBA, you would think that I'm not a bandwagon. I'm going to start this all off with Golden State Warriors. They are having a off season this year. They're probably going to do what they did a couple years ago in that short season, how they were one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, losing to Detroit Pistons, losing to the Hornets, losing to Magic. That really makes you look bad. And I feel like the reason that is because there's so much young talent that Steve Kerr is trying to work with. And that's not the way to go when you're trying to repeat. I mean, like I said, there's still a trade deadline that could be reached. I mean, go ahead and get a veteran player. I mean, I believe the oldest benched player right now is JaMychal Green, and he's mid. He's not good. He's not bad. I don't know what to say about JaMychal Green, but I mean, he's a good person, and like I said, there's just so much there that the Warriors are missing. Their starting five: Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney. That right there is definitely a winning caliber team. I mean, you take only starting fives out of teams, that's probably one of the top 3 starting fives. I definitely don't like the way that we have it with Kevon Looney in. I think it'll be cool to take Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, put those in the small forward, shooting guard, and point guard positions. Put Andrew Wiggins at the power forward, and probably put Draymond Green. Yeah, probably put Draymond Green at that center position. I kind of want to see what we can do with James Wiseman being his first game in 2 years or a year. Or he got injured 2 years ago, so yeah, 2 years. And I'm excited to see like what happens and everything, knowing that there are experienced players, but there are rookie players. I mean, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and then we have, we're really missing out on Gary Payton Jr., Otto Porter Jr., Nemanja Bjelica, all those players. Damian Lee, I really miss. Damian Lee, I feel like, is a big factor in, like, not being a championship winning team, and there's definitely stuff missing there at the Warriors team. So I have them at a bad level team. Now let's completely switch, and let's talk about a team who I think is going to be good this year. There's nothing you can say bad right now about the Milwaukee Bucks. Talent is definitely there. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Holiday, Middleton, that's all you need. And then literally every backup player has. I mean, you don't even need backups because that starting. I believe the starting people average 80, 90 points a game, all 5 of them. So I mean that's all you need, and undefeated is definitely a team that the Warriors should be scared of. And there's nothing that needs to be fixed on that team. But, adding on, building up, it's never bad. So, that's definitely one thing. Another team I am really impressed with is the Houston Rockets. I can't even talk players, though. I don't know any person besides Christian Wood that is on that team. I mean, that is a team who then proves my theory to be dumb about the Warriors. There is no veterans on that team. That is a rookie. There's 5 rookies in the starting 5. That is insane. Like, really, really insane. And it is just crazy to think about the fact that they are a good team. Or I shouldn't say good. They're an impressive team with all rookies. And I don't know. The Rockets are a wholly new, different team. Mentally and physically this year. They have a couple new rookies, but they just play with a different mindset, I feel. And there is no, I don't know. And if I said Christian Wood earlier, I did not mean Christian Wood. I meant Jalen Green. You guys might didn't realize that, but I think I said Christian Wood, not Jalen Green. Christian Wood plays for the Mavericks now. But, yeah. Another team that I'm really disappointed in is the Nets. Kyrie Irving suspended. It's definitely not something I saw coming, but, everybody in the NBA, I guess, gets punished some point or another, whether it's on the court, at practice, or with the cops, or I don't know. Definitely not all players get in trouble with the cops. That's just, that's opinion. But, yeah. Another team that I'm actually really impressed with the way the Suns are doing this year. I thought that they would have been a little worse than they were last year, knowing that the Suns, Chris Paul, being as old as he is, I'm surprised he's still able to keep up with the way. He's always played the same eliteness his whole career, whether it's with the Rockets or with the Suns or whoever he was with. He's always had good seasons, and it's so impressive. Then you have Devin Booker, who's one of the best shooters in the game right now. Damian Lee, like I said. And then you have DeAndre Ayton, who, if Chris Paul has a bad game, Devin Booker has a bad game, he backs you up. Michael Bridges, he backs you up. There's so much veteran talent on that team that gets them wins, I feel, and is able to do good things. And now the last team who I'm going to compliment before we end the video, Portland Trailblazers. Exact same team as last year. There's one player, I cannot think of his name, there's one player for the Portland Trailblazers who has exploded with talent, and I believe he played for the Grizzlies. I don't remember, but he played for the Grizzlies, and he is a huge help with Damian Lillard. I think that's a backup for CJ McCollum, who is now went to the Pelicans, who is another pretty impressive team this year. And so, yeah. Anyways, guys, that is the end of our podcast today. And if you guys enjoyed that podcast, you guys might want to subscribe, because I have a couple other podcast ideas that I think I'll have for this weekend. It's going to be a long weekend. And by the way, I live in Nebraska, so I'm a Husker fan, and we are playing Minnesota tomorrow. So leave in the comments good luck for Nebraska, even if you're a what other fan. But we're definitely going to need it. It is probably going to look ugly knowing that Muhammad Ibrahim plays for Minnesota. That's all they need. And yeah, so anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in some upcoming podcast. And remember to join the journey. And peace.